Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to another Bangs audio review. As I put my vape away, I shouldn't be vaping that much anyway, with the current state of my health, unfortunately. Yeah, so the SARS-CoV-2 has got me in its clutches right now, and, just lovely that it's moved into my sinuses and my chest and my nasal passageways and all that kind of stuff. Strangely enough, hearing has not been affected. So other than the fact that from time to time I've had a pretty nasty pounding headache, which limited me, or has limited me to an extent over the past few days in reviewing this or testing, I do feel like I have had enough time with it now that I can give you a pretty accurate and in-depth review of the Dunu X Gizaudio DaVinci. That took me an awful long time to spit out, so I apologize for that. But yes, that is the IM that we are going to be talking about today. Timmy's latest collaboration, this time with Dunu. Dunu is one of the top players in the IEM game, as you may or probably most all of you are aware. They have some pretty crazy, amazing sets. This particular set is a combination of 2 dynamic drivers and 4 balanced armature drivers, which you may or may not know is actually the same configuration as the Dunu Vulcan. But even though I haven't tried the Vulcan, I'm pretty sure that they are not super similar in their frequency response, just based on a little graphing and graph viewing. So they're definitely their own entity, that's for sure, because Timmy had a hand in tuning them. So, and it's just really, it's cool to me. I see Timmy as a realist, not like he's, what's the word? Cynical, right? There's a difference between being a realist and being cynical. A while back now, I remember commenting on one of his videos, it might have been one of the live events that he did, about how fast the releases and innovations and evolution was coming, and his response was, releases yes, innovations and evolution not so much. That's a realistic view, right? I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's kind of true, But I will say this feels like an evolution in IEMs, and it's definitely an evolution if you follow his previous collabs, which were some of the things that I comped it with. So the first collab that he had, still like one of my favorite like single DD, single BA sets. Like I really feel like it has a lot going for it, especially considering its price point. If it can still even be purchased now, I know stock was running low, especially on HiFiGo. I know they had it down to like $75 or $76. I mean, to me, that's an excellent value, and I do like it quite a bit still. Even though this is a little bit on the older side now. God, it's funny to say that about something that's barely over a year old, but, true. Then you had the second collab, this one with binary acoustics. There's the Chopin. And the Chopin definitely was a full upgrade. Single DD 4BA, or 3 balanced armature set, actually, which this actually won my IM of the year back for 2023. Now, granted, I'd only been in the hobby for probably 4 or 5 months at that point, so I don't know if I was in any position to name an IM of the year. But regardless, for what it's worth, this was it. And I think for me and my experience and what I had experienced up to that point, it was the best that I had tried when I made that declaration. So there's the caveat. I'll stand by it. I still think it was a fabulous IEM and one of the top you know, we're not talking about Summit Fi here. We're talking about like basically 400 or less, right? It's still a top contender for me. I still think it's excellent. But you follow that curve from the Galileo to the Chopin to the DaVinci, and you can just hear it. You could just hear the evolution happening, to the point at which, you know, you're like, sorry about the color matching, guys. It's a cheater cable. It's an IVIPQ cable. Being that I've got the SARS, I wanted to touch as little of the interior stuff as possible, although I am going to do an unbox, so for the next person who gets it, I'm going to do my best to disinfect. Anyway, so yeah, this is an IVIPQ cable. It was recessed 2-pin, so it worked extraordinarily well with the DaVinci over the stock cable, which is still in the box. Well, we'll move this out of the way. It's got a better match for a different set, I'm sure. Yeah, unboxing is nice. No, it's nothing like overly elaborate. The IMs obviously sit here, and then everything else that comes with it is in this case. Now the case is, I would say, on the oversized but very nice side of things. Come back here. Hey, not done with you. And there's the stock cable. The stock cable is wonderful. I did not use any of the tips for obvious reasons, but you do get a 3.5 and a 4.4 along with their lovely 3.5 to 6.35 adapter. I have one of those myself. So anyway, things stayed in the case. The case is very nice. It's probably big enough to throw a little dongle DAC in as well. But I'm, again, trying not to touch too much here. Although, I don't know how long this virus lives outside of a host. Probably not very long. So, I don't know if it's going to be a huge issue or not. These I will disinfect, though, for sure. Because hands and ears all over them, you know? Alright, so... And I love it when they do this, too. All of the specs are on the back of the box. So, you've got impedance of 35 ohms, sensitivity of 109 decibels, frequency response is 5 hertz to 40 kilohertz, 20 to 20 kilohertz for us, and 2DD 4BA. So the DDs are set up like this: 10 millimeter ultra low frequency, and that is a biocellulose dome, flexible surround, and then an 8 millimeter also ultra low frequency dynamic driver with the same biocellulose dome, flexible surround. Okay, and then it just says balanced armature units. So they're custom, and they're handling the mids and the highs, obviously. Everything is good so far, right? 2 DDs, 4 BAs, and a 5 crossover situation per side. You know, acoustic cavity design. Like, yeah, it's freaking Dunu. They're gonna do it right. So... So far, so good. Move this out of the way so I've got a little room to maneuver here, because we're going to look at graphs and such. The DaVinci, I think, really kind of it's culminated in, I think, what Timmy's vision was. I think that he's meticulous in his tuning style and preference, and from what I gather from what he has said and what other reviewers have said about these, they encapsulate what he was going for. And that's got to be a really satisfying feeling, actually, you know, because it's probably not so great when the opposite happens. And I know that's happened to other reviewers, and I, you know, feel bad for them when things get messed with that's beyond their control, and they're touting their IMs as one thing and they're really not that thing, you know, talking about HBB and KZ, like I think it was the PR2, that whole thing. That's a real shame. This definitely did not happen here with Timmy and Dunu. These are straight up fire is what they are. So anyway, yeah, let's take a look at some of the graphs here. So I initially, when I was running these through the paces, all the test tracks and a few albums and so on and so forth, I felt like they had some pretty good competition in my stable of IEMs. One of those actually is the Gizaudio 61T, the butterfly, which I recently reviewed but couldn't really enjoy because of the pressure buildup. But I will say this: like if we look at these, and I'll try to get in here a little bit so you can see them. If we look at them side by side, there's a little bit of mid-bass tuck here on the 61T that is not so present in the DaVinci. So yeah, the DaVinci's got bass. You know, I kind of feel like, in a way, that Timmy might just be a closeted bass head. Just saying. I can't confirm that to be true, but it's possible, because one thing the DaVinci's got is freaking bass. Like, wow. Dude, nice. Anyway, I'm a little bit of a bass head too, so you know, when it came down to it, the 61T I sent back home, so I really didn't do much of an A-B situation with those two. More, it was with the Slevo SL41 Mark II and the Canara Hodor. These are the ones that really were the main comps with the DaVinci. And to an extent the ISN Neo 3, but that's more of like sort of just a mini Hodor, so the Hodor kind of took its spot. In a perfect world, it would have come down to the Butterfly and the DaVinci. Like for the final comp, in my world, it came down to the Hodor and the DaVinci. And I will get to my conclusions on those two sets towards the end of the video, which one I preferred, but I'll also say that that is my preference, and that doesn't mean that it's the better of the two. Okay, fair? Right. The DaVinci excelled at a lot. The DaVinci reminded me a little bit of the SimGot EA1000, just in the sense that it was very effortless. You did not feel like it was working hard in its presentation of any track, any genre, anything really, from the bottom to the top of the frequencies. It's a very buttery, smooth, polished presentation. And I feel like that probably is pushing the Summit Fi envelope a little bit at a mere $300. Now, $300 is not a small amount for a lot of people. For some people, it's probably pocket change, and for other people, it's probably like picking a dollar off the ground. But I think for most of us, you know, that's a commitment. If you're going to throw $300 into something, it better freaking deliver. And I'm happy to report that the DaVinci does deliver. Absolutely no doubt on that promise of hi-fi, high resolution listening experience. It is really, really good. So, not to put the cart before the horse, you guys, oh yeah, I should go over tips. But it's definitely, once again, Timmy's got an IM in consideration for me for the IM of the year. Interestingly enough, it knocked the SM4, the Super Mix 4 from SimGot, right out of the discussion for IM of the year. So right now, my top two sets, well, it should be three, right? But it's two. My top three sets under consideration, they have to have been released in 2024, would be the Meyer Audio Slevo SL41 Mark II, the Gizaudio 61T Butterfly, with the exception of the pressure issue, and the Dunu DaVinci. Those are kind of like the top three right now in the running. And I know I shouldn't probably have the Butterfly in there. It was just so freaking good. I wish they'd vent it properly. And maybe they'll do that. Maybe they will. Maybe enough people will have trouble with it, where they'll do like a, not like a necessarily a retune, but just a little, you know, little hole drill. I don't know. Wishing one hand, poop in the other, see which one fills up faster. But at any rate, it's this set's worth $300 and then some. I really do feel that Timmy has once again outdone himself with this particular set. I feel like the next one he does is going to be even better and probably more expensive, and it should be, because like at this point he's earned the right. Okay, like he's kind of earned the right to release a collab with a really good IM company at the higher price points. Like he's earned that trust from us, from me, knowing that what you're going to buy isn't just somebody's cash grab, that it's actually worth the price that's being asked. And I almost feel like, and again, this is speculation, this is not fact, and you know, I could be wrong, but I almost feel like Timmy probably said to Dunu, make it as good as you can possibly make it. Don't worry about my cut if you have to reduce that to get the quality drivers, etc. If you have to do that to get it better, then just do it. I mean, like I said, he'll probably never admit to that. I'm not even sure it actually happened, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. That's how good the DaVinci is. Like, honestly, it's balanced, it's detailed, it's got a nice soundstage. Like, I don't think that Timmy buys into the soundstage thing for IMs as much, but you'll experience it. You'll experience a very, I would say well-rounded. Like, it's not massive, it's not intimate. It kind of keeps everything right here so that you can hear how good the drivers are, and you can pick out the micro details and all the little nuances, and just really well done as far as that goes. As far as the techs go, it's as good as anything that I've tried. As far as smoothness and polish, it's as good as anything that I've tried. The only thing for me that competes with it for my own personal tastes is the Hodor. And that is a personal taste, okay? If we look at both of these, try to get in here so you guys can see it. If we look at both of these, the ear gain on the Hodor is a little bit steeper, right? The DaVinci is a little bit smoother. And the extension of the treble, especially in the mid treble, is a little bit more here. And the mid bass is whomping, right? This goes more sub bass over mid bass, but there's still plenty of mid bass. It's a stylistic preference. For me, the quality is pretty much equal. I think that the sound quality of both sets is phenomenal. It would be more of a stylistic preference. If you like more mid bass, go with the Hodor. If you like more sub bass over mid bass, go with the DaVinci. They're both $300. I'm personally taking the Hodor, but I've also got room for the DaVinci. You know what I mean? Like, they're different enough, they complement each other enough that I could see having both of them in my collection at some point. Probably is somewhat inevitable at this point. But thanks to listener from headphones.com and the people that organized the North American tour, I didn't have to shell out $300 for this, or $260, $250 on sale. I am getting to try this without having to buy it, which is much appreciated. Thank you so much, guys, for putting me on the tour. That being said, I'm probably going to end up buying it anyway. I mean, because if it's going to be my IM of the year, which right now it is in the lead, then I should probably own it. So next sales cycle, possibly we'll take a look at doing that. Yeah, I don't see any reason not to buy these unless $300 is completely out of your price range. That would be a good reason not to buy them. That's probably the only reason, though. Really, even if you're like just buying like $500, $600, $800 IMs, and that's okay for your, financial situation, kilobuck sets, whatever, you should still buy the DaVinci. You should, because it's just really that good, and it's a really good expression of, I believe, what Timmy feels like is an excellent tuning style. And I would agree, it's an excellent tuning style. And I think it's a pretty universal tuning style, and I think it's a pretty all-rounder style of IEM. It's a pleaser, for sure. Definitely. So I am going to put my stamp of approval on it. Personally, I like the Hodor's style a little bit better, but that's the only difference, and that's me. That's probably not you, or may not be you, but regardless. Yeah, the DaVinci. Much hype, and lived up to it. And I really can't say any more than that. It's a highly recommended. If you can do it without stretching yourself too thin, pick them up. Wait for the next sale. It's right around the corner, as always. But yeah, it's a blind buy for sure. I can't see anybody who would not like these. Really. All right, I'm going to get back to my tea, my lemon ginger echinacea honey tea, and rest up for the weekend. I'll catch up with you guys on Monday. We're going to do some BCDs next week, some bone conduction drivers. Harrison and I are also working on another program kind of fun thing with Singolo Audio, so that'll be coming up in the next week or so, make an announcement on that. And I do have some budget sets to go through this month as well. So it's going to be a really fun, sort of all-encompassing kind of month, I think. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. So with that, I love you all. Nothing but peace to you. And we will see you soon. Take care.